Hello, dear friends. It is hard to report objectively without taking sides. Opinion piece. WikiLeaks questions for Trump. Past contradictions. The old normality is over. The last gasp of a dying era. Questions hanging in the air. Changing timeline with elections. Will he drain the swamp this time? Will they take control of power again? Why does everything feel so apocalyptic? Will he surround himself with enemies again? This is the day when theory is put into practice. Change is unavoidable and resistance is predictable. This week would not be the EBS because there are elections. I repeat, this week would not be the EBS because there are elections. Julian Assange believes that Trump is a wolf in wolf's clothing. Let's start. As voters headed to the polls yesterday, Tuesday, in a tight race to determine who will be the next president, WikiLeaks asked 5 big provocative questions about the possible future Donald Trump administration, echoing the many unknowns that float in the air about what his mandate would be like according to Zero Edge. These questions address sensitive issues related to domestic and foreign policy, as well as the composition of a new Republican government, a possible new Republican government. They seek to put Trump in an unquote position, forcing him to define himself on controversial issues related to the Washington establishment. Trump said in 2016, in quotes, "I love WikiLeaks, but I don't know anything about it." The relationship between Trump and WikiLeaks has been complex, with moments of apparent affinity during the 2016 campaign, but also with tensions afterwards. Trump swore on the deep state, according to Kelly Nelson. After his election in 2008, Obama spent 8 years using the intelligence community as a weapon. He militarized government agencies to attack political opponents, including members of Congress, journalists who reported unfavorable stories, Trump allies, and average citizens. His friends in the mainstream media helped him achieve this goal. Hope. When Trump won in 2016, many of his supporters had high hopes that he would truly drain the swamp, while a completely realigning foreign policy, including ending the forever wars in the Middle East. After all, he was the first GOP candidate in history to destroy Republican George Bush Jr.'s decision to invade Iraq in 2003, and later as president he called the Iraq War the worst decision ever made, in quotes. But these high hopes turned to disappointment when Trump willingly brought into his administration some of the very people who had long been part of the problem called the Washington bubble, and put them in powerful positions. Of course, as Trump himself now knows, these public officials did much to sabotage any sincere efforts by the administration on things like getting troops out of Syria, and they turned against him eventually. Trump supporters also had big hopes in 2016 that he would pardon Julian Assange and Edward Snowden and declassify all records related to fake Russiagate campaign. Sadly, none of that happened, and many became enemies within the administration, and after leaving wrote books and went on speaking tours where they smeared Trump's leadership and attacked him personally. Questions. With all this in mind, WikiLeaks has publicly issued the following questions for Trump in light of a possible return to the White House. First, how will he handle the so-called deep state in his transition team? This term is often used to refer to a network of officials and institutions that operate independently of the elected government. Second, if he is elected again, can he ensure that these people funded by arms companies will not hold positions in his administrations? This points to concerns about the influence of the military industry on foreign policy. Third, many of these people have not only opposed his policies, but have also worked against him, even putting their weight behind his prosecution. What is this stance toward those who pretend to support him? WikiLeaks is probing Trump's stance toward those who pretend to support him but have worked against him. Fourth, many of these former officials have now cashed out and profit from lobbying from arms companies, banks and foreign corporations. Will he ban quotes for those who have financial incentives to start wars or increase mass surveillance and censorship? Fifth, a growing faction within the Republican Party and also among independents, he advocates a foreign policy less driven by the three-letter agency and the profits of the arms industry. Figures such as RFK Jr. called for a further reduction in foreign interventions. Will members of the Swan force their way into influential roles and take control of his administration? WikiLeaks questions whether these sectors would have influence in a new Trump administration. Shift. A timeline shift is occurring while with the energy of this election, according to Keshe. This is not just about what you wish to manifest, what contributes to the timelines you are part of. Higher light waves from the galactic central BSL are flooding to the Earth. This energy amplifies, aids the manifestation of thoughts, words and feelings. You are increasing in frequency and undergoing an expansion of consciousness, preparing to open to new realms that exist beyond the current perception of the human mind. All of this is unfolding for you with the activation of your heart center, which takes place through meditation, love, compassion, and service to others. All the constructs of beliefs and ways of being in the matrix are no longer an option for humankind. The old normal is going to completely collapse, and with it governments, education, economic and financial system. The current 4-dimension will be transformed into an enhanced playground of the dark ones with increased reliance on artificial intelligence. You have the opportunity and all the help needed to transcend the coming turbulence that will unfold on the current version of Earth. What is asked of you is to release your fear of the unknown, of losing the old matrix programs and limited ways of living. Open your mind and heart. Make your intentions clear. What kind of reality do you really want for yourself, your children, and everyone else? Do you want to be tied to a desk or a machine and enslave your life for a worthless piece of paper? Or do you wish to be free and explore the world and the stars? The purpose of you, the soul that you are, is to transcend the illusions of the material world as you seek to expand into greater expressions of love. And once again, this begins with the activation of your heart center, the portal to infinite possibilities and realities, the gateway to your divine origins and the realms of paradise, all laid to you. Breaking news. Notice from the coalition. This week will not be EBS because it is the election. Stay tuned. We have not given any dates because they are arresting drug dealers. Provisional elections results. Trump 51.9% and Harris 48.1%. The tax side will not use the same strategy as last time, but a different tactic. Trump is winning by a landslide, but even so, his rivals will not give up easily. According to the Storm Rider, the elections will be suspended and paused in some states, and they will create false flag events to blame Trump supporters. There is a lot of misinformation surrounding the electoral vote on various mainstream media channels. No matter what happens, only after January 20th, 2025 will the true timeline be visible. Expert says if Trump wins, there would be extremist riots. Trump's team reported a hack against his campaign. Julian Assange thinks that Trump is a wolf in wolf's clothing. In quotes. Apocalyptic. SpaceX launches the first wooden satellite created by Japan into space. Scott Ritter thinks Ukraine is finished and Israel is in process of self-destruction. Why does everything feel so apocalyptic? Because it is the last breath of an era that is dying, according to Rasa Laila Hillinger. X22 report. No, China's stimulus is working and the economic system is crumbling. The central bank is preparing for more rate cuts, meaning the economy has been pushed to the brink because they are stuck in the Patriot Plan. CGI's Morgan asks, are you living the life you choose, or are you living the life someone else chooses for you? In most cultures, you are not free to be yourself. You are expected to follow tradition out of obligation, and stepping out of line can even get you killed in some places. According to Poet Dog, this is the day theory is put into practice. Madness lurks beneath the surface of the thin veneer that sits atop the steaming waves of the vast unconscious ocean. Each of us is a tiny island surrounded by the churning waters of change. Change is unavoidable, and resistance is predictable. Resistance is also futile. Change will come, and the pain and suffering that accompanies it will be equal to the degree of resistance offered. The world is in a state of flux, giving birth to a new era, arriving through a portal on a conveyor belt of time. You can hear each tick as the seconds morph into the shapes of a new day, where the past is swept away and made meaningless to all except those who do evil or expect some sort of reward in a vicious cycle. What is the real reason for Spain's catastrophic flooding? The government destroyed more than 256 dams between 2021 and 2022, supposedly to arrest the natural course of rivers, in quotes, in order to comply with the UN's Agenda 2030. But now it says the floods are a consequence of weather change. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.